Welcome back to the Band Guide. I'm your band guy, Colin, and this is another video in the 5-minute GarageBand Expert series where I'm bringing you 30 tips and tricks for mixing and recording in GarageBand in 30 days. Now this video is going to be all about the proximity effect. The proximity effect, in short, just means that the closer a mic is to the source that it's recording, the more low end it's going to pick up from that source. This isn't inherently a good or a bad thing. It can add thickness to vocals or fullness to a guitar recording, but it can also lead to inconsistencies or to muddiness that we might not want. For example, if you've ever noticed that a vocal recording, one line sounds a little bit muddy and then the next line sounds totally fine, that's probably the proximity effect coming into play. Let's start by taking a look at the image on the screen. Now, this is going to vary a little bit depending on what microphone you're using. This example is a Shure Beta 57A, and with this microphone at about 1/8 of an inch away, we're getting over 10, maybe 12 decibels of a boost at about 150, 200 hertz. When the mic moves back to about 1 inch away from the source, it drops down significantly, so it's about, 8 or 9 decibels. And back to 2 inches here, we have less than 5 decibels of a boost at that same range. And then when we get back to 2 feet, we actually get a bit of a reduction in the low end from what the source is producing. Now, this is super important to know, and super important to notice that there is a huge difference in these frequencies at a smaller distance. So how do we use this in the recording that we're doing? Let's start by talking about vocals. So when we're talking about vocals, if you want a little bit more low end, a little bit more fullness in your voice when you're recording them, let's say a verse calls for a nice full sounding vocal recording, you might want to be closer to the microphone. But if you're 6 inches away from the microphone and you move in 1 inch on a word and move back 1 inch on the next word, you're going to have a huge difference in the low end that microphone is picking up. So it's important to be consistent. I recommend start by finding the distance that sounds good for whatever part of the song you're working on. Try to stay consistent either for the whole song or at least for that part of the song that you're working on. And then try not to move drastically once you've found that area that you're using. So you can set the distance that your mouth is going to be from the pop filter, the distance a pop filter is going to be from the microphone. Typically around 10 to 12 inches is going to be pretty consistent, and you're not going to have as much of a reduction in low end if you move in or move out. You're not going to have as much of a variation in the low end in that recording. So if you're looking for just a good starting point, start around 10 or 12 inches away from the microphone, move in if you want a little bit more low end, move out if you want a little less low end, but be consistent in the take that you're doing. Now let's jump over to GarageBand, and I'm going to show you another way that you can use this actually inside GarageBand. All right, so we're in GarageBand, and I just have a guitar DI that's running into the amp simulator here. And what I want us to focus on is this mic placement setting. So this mic placement setting, one of our options is the distance that we are from the source we're recording. And notice how when we're super close here, it has a lot more fullness. And as I pull the mic back, it's going to be a lot thinner. That's crazy, right? That's just that one movement of that microphone. Clearly, you can get a big variation in the sound that you're recording just with that one. So you can get the amp set how you want the amp to sound. And if you need a little bit more brightness or a little bit more fullness out of your guitar, play with the distance that mic is from the actual source. That's a proximity effect working for you. If this video was helpful for you, be sure to subscribe. If you haven't already, be sure to grab my 6-step checklist to a pro mix in GarageBand. I'll see you tomorrow with another video.
One thing at a time, I can only